Should be live by now.
I think so.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Nexus. This is where we spotlight our favorite local businesses, share some company updates from time to time, and give you a little bit of an insight into the world of digital marketing from our perspective.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Taylor Tunison, and I'm joined by Alex Kofelt, our VP of Operations, and we're going to be discussing what makes a website credible. But before we get into that, I want to let you know about some of our Tap On It deals. I'm sure you've heard about Tap On It. Currently, we've got an offer from the Lincoln Stars hockey team that actually expires in a few days. They have a buy one, get one for their upcoming Stars game. I think it's on Saturday.
I believe so.
Versus Sioux Falls. We've also got Rock and Joe Coffee, Sideshow Spirits, Lazari's Pizza, STEM Gallery, Hubby's Timeout Bar, Mary Ellen's, Delicioso Pizza, and Dami Dami. So if you're not signed up for Tap On It, you can text the word Tap On It to 82928. And they'll send you a bunch of great local offers. All you have to do is respond with your zip code to make sure you get the ones from Lincoln.
Yep.
You can also go to our website, go-tnt.com. We've got a whole section with plenty of information there, and you can sign up right on the website. Mm-hmm. So, Alex, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Of course. So you're celebrating your 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're super excited about the new year.
We had a post go out yesterday, so everybody's aware. It's hard to believe it's been a year, honestly. 2021 was crazy overall, I think,
right,
for everybody a little bit. But it's been really enjoyable to have a chance to really, dig in with the team, and I feel like I'm able to make a difference here, both for us and for our clients. So
yeah,
I'm really, really grateful for everything that I've been able to work on over the past year.
Well, that's great to hear. You've really taken on a lot of responsibility. You started as a project manager, and now you're kind of in everything. You've got your hand in projects, you've got your hand in operations, you help with billing sometimes here and there.
Yep.
You even help me come up with blog topics and that sort of stuff from time to time. And SEO, you've taken a giant role in SEO. So we're just so thrilled to see you flourish and step into your role. It's been a lot of fun working with you, and you make my job a lot easier. I'm sure you make everyone's job a lot easier, but I don't speak for everyone.
I try.
So we're talking about websites today.
Yes.
It's kind of it's our bread and butter. It's what we got started on. Everybody needs a website. Statistics vary, but it's like 70% of small businesses have a website.
Yep.
And there's a billion of them out there, but only a few 100 million are actually active.
Right.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the details, what makes a good website, what you want to avoid.
Yeah.
And this is from a couple years of experience here. We've
right.
got statistics to back it up. And we know what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wrote a blog about this last week. You can find that on our website. So we're just going to kind of go through a lot of these points and try to break it down and make it as accessible as possible for those who aren't in the industry or aren't familiar with some of these terms. Sometimes it's easier to hear it from someone just breaking it down
definitely
into easier bits. So.
Well, and I think, too, it's important to note that kind of the stuff that we're focusing on here today, as well as in the blog, relates specifically to business websites.
Right.
So there's a whole world of credibility factors that go into the clickbait versus fake news, those kinds of things, or scholarly authority when it comes to websites. Right. But we, because of the kinds of websites that we build for our clients, are focusing specifically on credibility for your brand, for your business, through your website,
right.
What you're conveying to current clients, potential clients, and sometimes just as importantly to your competition.
Right.
Making sure that you are, setting the standard, following these kinds of best practices, and being an example to your competition, even of, man,
Absolutely.
We really got to get on their level. So
yeah, for sure. And websites are so important because so much happens online now.
Yeah.
Within the last few decades, a lot of things have shifted to digital.
Right.
And that became much more apparent in recent years.
Definitely.
With the pandemic. But before, you could survive as a small business with a single location, a single storefront, and just operating mainly out of that location. But now, if you don't have a website, you're kind of at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And so having a website is great, but you also want to make sure that you're communicating properly
Right.
and sort of signaling your authority,
Right.
because it's often the first thing a customer
Right.
will see if they're searching for something on Google and they stumble on your website, they've never heard of you before. You want to make sure you're showing yourself in the best light possible.
Definitely. And it used to be somewhat that something is better than nothing. Just by virtue of having a website at all, regardless of the quality, regardless of the depth of content, was enough to sort of make consumers feel confident in your business. And increasingly, a single landing page is not enough. Just having
Right.
a Facebook page for your business is not enough.
Right.
You need to focus on making yourself look as reputable as possible, conveying your credibility as much as possible. So the first point that we cover in the blog is being real, being user-friendly.
Right.
That goes beyond just having photos of your actual team. It goes into having your voice be consistent throughout the website, letting people know what they can expect about their transaction interaction with you just by the way that your website reads. Having your correct contact information, that's a huge thing. Few things are going to turn people off faster than I don't know how to reach out to these people, or goodness forbid you click the click to call button and it's a wrong phone number, the number's been disconnected. And then navigability, that's a huge thing too, making sure that people can sort of intuitively make their way through your website. If it's difficult to use, people aren't going to want to use it, and that's going to reflect back on your business. It is that first sort of point of contact for a lot of people, and so people are then going to make assumptions about what it's going to be like to do business with you. If your website's difficult to navigate, they're going to assume they're going to have a difficult time working with you, whether that's true or not.
Yeah, and one of the first things is, what platform are people using? Are they using their mobile device, which tends to be the case more often than not these days. And so if your website isn't optimized, if it doesn't load quickly, if it doesn't have, within 3 seconds they should know what your business is, what they do,
and how to either buy or get in touch with you.
Right. You want to make it as easy as possible.
The immediacy is huge. The second point we cover in the blog is including data and reviews. So if you are a business that sells things, it's important to have pricing readily available, whether or not you have true e-commerce integrated into your website, or if it's something where you need to withhold that pricing or things are quoted upon request, even making that easily available.
And reviews they serve multiple purposes. But as far as credibility goes, they go a long way in building trust.
Right.
Because there are so many businesses out there, it's hard to know what exactly you're getting into if you can't verify that they're a real company.
Right.
They're local. They have some of the same values maybe as you. And so if anybody can make a claim, anybody can say something about a product or a service. Granted, FDA sort of things, regulations come into play there. But if you're asserting a certain kind of value or quoting a statistic or something like that, it's a great idea to just link to the source. And we're not going to debate the credibility of certain sources.
Right.
I'm sure you can find plenty of information out there on the internet. There's a lot of best practices as far as that goes. But if you are quoting someone, if you are a professional, if you're trying to claim to be an authority in the industry and you're just making these wild claims out of nowhere and nobody can go and verify where this is coming from, it's hard to trust that.
It is, and you can talk about yourself all day long, but it sort of is playing into the word of mouth advertising that people have leaned on really heavily previously. You can still do that via digital marketing by including reviews, by including testimonials on your website, so that a prospective client learns about what a past client has experienced with you.
It gives them an idea of what to expect. So they're not flying blind. And you don't necessarily have to include the customer's name or business, but showing it in their words as opposed to just, this satisfied client is great. You got to have real sort of person-to-person, interpersonal.
Well, and the specifics of the service too. If you're somebody who is a home builder, for example, if somebody who is a past satisfied client can speak to, was the project completed on time? Was it completed on budget? How did the final build turn out? Those are the kinds of questions that people are looking for answers to when they visit a website. And so if you can provide that kind of information from a third party, somebody who has actually worked with you, you're, again, just building that trust from that first click.
Absolutely. And I think that sort of segues into our third point, if I remember correctly, regular updates.
Yes,
Keep your website updated. If you do complete a giant project, if you've got a major partnership, anything that you kind of want to show off or brag about, you know, humility has its purposes, but people want to know how good you are. Why should they choose your business versus a competitor? You want to highlight completed projects, anything that you're proud of, experts, if you have a team, if they have certifications, if they have, you know, training or degrees or experience, highlight that stuff. People want to see that. And it goes a long way in, you know, building that trust and also showing that you're an authority and you're secure enough to say, we do great work. And people want to know that and see that.
Absolutely. Well, and you kind of touched on the fourth point that we cover in the blog too, of highlighting your expertise, highlighting your credentials. Again, in order to prove that you are about it and you don't just talk about it, if you're a member of the Better Business Bureau, if you're a member of, you know, communities like, you know, LIBA or ELBA, if you've got professional certifications within your industry, the website is a great place to highlight that, because yet again, you're proving to people you know enough about what you're talking about to have other people verifying that for you. You know, doctors especially will include, you know, their continuing education certifications. We have had clients who are, again, sort of in the construction industry. Those kinds of professional certifications are huge because it is yet another indicator of trust in the service that you provide, your knowledge base, your level of expertise. We find that's a really good opportunity on like About Us pages, especially highlighting, you know, questions people would need to know about your business. But if your staff knows their stuff, let them shine. Those, you know, even just a quick, you know, 4 to 5 sentence biography goes a long way in both proving that you're a real person who, you know, cares enough about your user's experience to, you know, share a little bit about yourself. But also, if you've got 20 years of industry experience, let people know that. That's huge.
Absolutely.
Even if your business hasn't been its own thing for, you know, a very long time, if you were a real estate agent for 20 years and you've now, you know, begun your own brokerage, lean on that experience. Even though the company's only been around for a year, your wealth of knowledge goes above and beyond just, you know, however long you've had your LLC or been incorporated.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, you know, the personable nature. People want to buy from other people. People want to see other people. A lot of these big global international box stores, you don't necessarily know who you're buying from. You don't know where your money's going, how it's going to contribute, who it pays, what it pays. But if you have a story behind your business, if you've got a really solid brand, if you have sort of this personality, that goes a long way. And supporting local is a big part of our motif, you know, it's our motivation. That's half the reason why we have this show, is to give an opportunity to, you know, allow the community to connect with itself, to see that you don't necessarily have to contribute to a nameless, faceless organization. You can go down the street and find someone who employs locals and buys local, and you're building up the community. I think when we had Bud Seinhorst on from LIBA, he said that every dollar spent in a local community circles like 7 times, I think. And that just, it's so mind-blowing, and it's essential in today's day and age where you can buy from anywhere, really. So you're voting with your dollars. You're choosing to support your community with your dollars. And that's so much easier if you can identify with the business. If they make significant efforts to show you who they are, to tell you their story, and emotion is a powerful motivator.
Definitely.
So that's, if you can include any sort of story in the About Us page or in your branding, that goes a long way. So our final point is kind of a gimme. It makes sense. I'm the copywriter on staff, so I know it more than most because I deal with it every day. But avoid errors, spelling errors, grammar errors. Nothing really jumps out to me more than misspelled something or a incorrect grammar usage, sentence structure.
Sure.
These things, they tend to get taken for granted. And sometimes small businesses, entrepreneurs, they don't have a lot of time on their hands. They may not be very well versed in a lot of these elements.
Right.
There are great tools out there. Grammarly is one.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can list dozens of them.
Right.
Quick search will turn up tons of them. But it's essential, but it's kind of right on your face. You don't even think about it too much. And along with that, promotions. If you have pop-ups and ads on your website, they distract from your message, and they show people that your concerns, your interests are not necessarily on their experience and the user friendliness. It can clutter, it can slow down a website. So anything to add there?
Yeah, well, which is not to say never have a pop-up on your website ever. We've got one or two on ours. The websites that we build for clients, those are integrated sort of here and there. The biggest thing to focus on when it comes to those kinds of, pop-ups is don't make it overly disruptive and have some sort of value add. So if you're asking someone to provide you with their email address or provide you with their contact information, it is in their best interest to do so if you are signing them up for your newsletter so that they can stay up to date. If you have a business with e-commerce, opting them in to then get a discount on their next order when they subscribe. So again, having that focus on the user's experience is the biggest thing when it comes to sort of some of those extras like, pop-ups or banners, contact forms even. And this probably sounds like a lot. I mean, there are a lot of things to take into consideration when you're building your website beyond just, does it look good? Credibility is huge. And the benefit that we have of having a copywriter on staff, having people who have built multiple websites, Dylan included, we take care of all this for you as a matter of course. You don't have to double check. You don't have to worry, man, I know what I do, but how do I communicate this to somebody who's not had a chance to interact with me or make a purchase or, have me provide a service yet. So you can go it alone, certainly.
Right.
We provide this resource as advice to people, but at the same time the barrier to entry is relatively low, truly, in the big scheme of things. When you look at what that return on investment is going to be when you choose to have a website built with us, you're able to kind of not worry about it. I mean, I tell people all the time, you're the expert in your industry and we're the expert in ours, and that sort of overlap and that collaboration is why we're able to build websites that look great, that do well, that people enjoy using enough to then reach out to a lot of these businesses that we then build websites for, is because we take all of these things into consideration and more.
Right.
I think we touched briefly on the blog about like your Ssl certificate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you navigate to a website and your web browser first thing goes, hey, this looks sketchy, are you sure you want to keep going? That is a super duper easy thing to take care of that will absolutely undercut any semblance of credibility you've built if your website is good. If somebody can't get to it without a barrier, that's a big thing.
Absolutely. And the SSL in particular, not to cut you off, but if you have e-commerce, if you have an online store, if you're asking people to enter their credit card information, their private sensitive data, you don't want a lawsuit. You don't want identity theft. And you want to make sure your website is secure enough that someone who's accessing it on a phone or a desktop browser, they're not going to get their data stolen.
Right, and exactly. That encryption is, again, super simple to implement, but has really significant ramifications if you don't, or if you're not paying close enough attention to notice that it's lapsed or it's coming up on, expiring.
And some industries are really heavily scrutinized. There's a lot of regulations as far as, financial industries and healthcare. HIPAA, for example. And what's the other one for credit card payments?
It's Pci Compliance.
Right.
Anybody who processes credit card information or handles any sort of payment data at all, there are minimum requirements through Pci to make sure that you are appropriately protecting your client's information.
Yeah, and that goes a long way to certifying your authenticity, your credibility, and you certainly can build your own website. You can do a lot of this stuff yourself, but if you overlook one of these little areas, it can end up doing more harm than good.
Absolutely.
And setting the business back significantly.
Yep. Not to mention the time it takes. That's a huge thing that, you know, a lot of the people that we partner with to build their websites, they're like, I know what I want, I just do not have the time or the know-how to be able to implement it.
Right.
And that's where we're really able to step in, leverage our expertise, leverage the years that we've spent doing this to relieve that burden from the business owner, as well as then providing them with a really strong foundation in the form of a beautiful, user-friendly, credible website.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it's getting to be 12:30. So, any closing comments? Any message you would like to leave on your first year return here to the Nexus?
It's a lot of pressure. No, I'm so incredibly grateful for everybody I've had the chance to work with, both here at True North as well as the clients that I get to interact with. And if you've got questions, if you have a website that you're not sure where to go from here, feel free to reach out.
Absolutely.
Check out our website. All of our contact information is on that About page that we referenced.
Yeah.
But if you've got questions, we're more than happy to sit down and chat through, you know, where we've identified opportunities within your current digital marketing, whether that be through website or social media. Even if you just need a little bit of advice, we're here. We're not going to, you know, make the hard sell by any means, but we'll give you an honest assessment of where we think, you know, there may be some room for improvement, what you're doing well, and then give you the tools that you need through our services or not to help your business be the best that it can be in terms of your digital presence.
Absolutely. And we have tons of great resources. We publish a weekly blog. I'm sure you've heard I mention that all the time. We also have a great newsletter, The Compass.
Yeah.
So, and you'll probably be the contact if they reach out. You can send us a message on Facebook. You can email us, give us a call, and you'll most likely speak to Alex because she is our single point of contact for most of our clients. Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a great time. We have quite a few guests lined up this month, so look forward to seeing Renee next week, and have a great day. We'll see you next time.